Welcome back to Melbourne Strength Cultures podcast, number one in the hearts, number one in the charts. I'm just checking in quickly to let you know that David Gray and myself recorded a business seminar on Thursday night before David's weekend here at Melbourne Strength Culture with his lower body workshop. The business seminar covered both of our business models and the ways in which we think about growth of our two businesses respectively. Both of those presentations are an hour long with a bunch of questions that we covered as well. That recording is now available for download. So that will be the first link in the description down below. If you're a therapist or a coach or work in our space or are interested in the way in which we operate our businesses, I think this would be a no-brainer to purchase. You'll learn a whole bunch of different things related to social media content, business structure, finance management, as well as just mindset and attitude towards business growth in both the online setting and also in person. So you can check that out in the first link down below, but let's get into the episode. Welcome back to Melbourne Strength Cultures podcast, number one in the hearts, number one in the charts. We're back with a guest episode, the first one of 2023. We waited, we held back, we thought we've got to get the right guest in. We're not going to rush, we're not going. We've got David Gray in.
I just gave you no choice. Come and teach a workshop here and let's do the podcast.
They call him. I heard they call you the Irish Wonderboy. That's what I've been hearing around the traps. You're the the Wonderboy of the Irish, the new age Conor McGregor. Yeah. The biggest export out of Ireland since Conor.
And Guinness.
And Guinness.
That too. Yeah,
absolutely. But no, thank you for coming on, and also thank you for selecting Melbourne Strength Culture to run your workshop out. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is day 4 here.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit fatigued at this stage. And it was good. It was great. I think when I was saying to you yesterday, like about where we're trying to teach our workshops or whatever, it's not like we have fucking hundreds of choices or people throwing themselves at us necessarily, but like I just want things to be cool. And I think I've seen that with your brand over the last few days as well here. Like fucking there's an emphasis on just a bit of coolness there, not just like I'm just going to do things because everyone else does things. We want it to be cool. We want it to be fun. So if I'm thinking about coming to a city or coming to Melbourne, like I'm going to message you because part of the coolness is actually getting to meet all you. And actually part of the workshop was all the people when they came in maybe on Thursday for the business one and then for Saturday morning, they wanted to come in and see this podcast room as well. And they saw the gym and they saw like it's an experience rather than just coming and getting information. And we go for a few beers last night or whatever, and like that's what I'll remember, and that's what a lot of people remember. Hopefully they'll remember the information. Hopefully it'll make them better at their jobs. But really we want it to be fucking like they remember the experience and they meet other people there and they remember all that stuff. So I think what better place?
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. I know you because you were working on the Saturday, but people literally come here and they're like, "Oh, I want to see the potty room. Can I get a photo?" They sit in the seats and they get. We're gonna take a photo.
Yeah, like it's happened before, but like it always still like gives me a bit of like I don't know if it's goosebumps, but like there's other people who be like, "Oh, can I check out the podcast room?" Like it's like
it's chairs.
There's just some chairs and like it's a cool room, and I think we do take it for granted. But like some guy came in, he was like, "Oh, it's really cool to be here," and it's cool because he's from interstate. Like you know, obviously like follows the podcast and stuff. Wanted to like check it out. It's cool. It's nice.
It is good. It's weird. It's so weird.
It is weird though.
I find it weird.
I'll say I don't know how to act in those situations. I'm like, awesome man, but I'm like, fuck, this is weird.
Yeah,
like,
or you just go the other way, like, yeah, done. You can suss out my crown. It's bad. How would you? I reckon I started following you with like 2-3K followers.
One of the OGs.
One of the OGs, and I go on your page now, like it's got 100 grand just sitting on there. I was looking at
I want to talk about this because it's literally in the last month.
It's just,
or not month, the month before.
Yeah,
it's just blown up, and like they're now one of the who's who in the industry. Surely you'd have moments where you'd be like, "What the fuck? Like this is weird."
Yeah, but we spoke about again. I don't want to keep saying we spoke about this, but with the lads last night when we were having a few beers, sometimes, and I have to fight against this, where you just want to burn it to the ground for no reason. Yeah, I get like an uncomfortable, like, this is going pretty well, and like, I'm not fighting against. I feel like I need to fight against something, so maybe I'll just fucking say I'm done with this. So I have to like not do that, which is harder than it sounds actually. And John was saying that last night as well. One of the guys, it was just like, I just want to do something new every 6 months, and instead of just riding a wave. So part of the growth is has been like a couple of reels kind of going viral, this type of thing, which is not necessarily what you want, actually, what I'm realizing now, because I think like 6 months ago the quality of our followers, if you're like probably 10 to 20% of everyone that followed me had bought something from me, but that percentage has gone down a lot now. And yeah, so we have a reel at the moment that's popping off, right? It's just a meme of, did you see the one of the guy, the exploding couch, that I posted? Nah. So a guy sitting on a couch, he looks like a Russian guy or something. And everyone's sitting around him, and his chair pops, and he literally flies through the air and hits the ground on the other side.
It's an airbag. They put an airbag in his chair.
Yeah. But it's like horrible what they did to him, right? So, and I just made a meme out of it, and I don't often do this, but I put up, when your physio gives you, when your rehab was glute clams and your return to running or something like that, and it has 3.6 million views on it.
Oh, wow.
But now all the comments are like, one of the comments the other day was like, this is what happened when Hitler would start. So like, and there's like 100 comments under that Hitler comment. So I'm like, who are these fucking idiots? I don't usually get exposed to that part of the internet. So part of it is like, I don't know how much you want to go viral.
Mega viral.
Yeah.
You want to stay in the fitness sphere.
Yeah. You got a more engaged following. Yeah. I saw it funny, we were talking about it before as well, but Grant Fowler, he had a video of him doing a 140 kilo kneeling jump. So he jumped to feet with 140 kilos on his back. And Sports Center reshared it, or one of those big pages, or Barstool or some shit like that. And like, if you follow Grant Fowler, there's some wordy posts. Like, it's complex, and that's what he wants. He wants complex written posts. That's how he writes. Like, he likes that, and that's what he wants his followers to read. That's just him. And it started shooting all these people to his page. He blew up a little bit, like got an extra 10K followers or something like that, and all these people on his page. And he reshares some of the comments, like, dumb it down, bro, I don't understand any of this shit.
Oh, my God. Yeah, literally they'll weed themselves out there.
Yeah, eventually they're like, no, this is above me.
You'll get your spike, and then everyone just unfollows you.
Or just doesn't engage.
Yeah, straight back to where you were.
But there is something you might like. So now I don't know if I want that at all, because there's two arguments. You could say, okay, that like kind of virality is great, and actually I will get people that do like it as part of them other people as well. But when you think about like maybe something like Instagram only showing your posts to 10% of your audience is the word or something. It's like,
you don't want them to go to that.
Yeah, to that 10%. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah. Because I know we've chatted off air a little bit about like your strategy, and you actually discussed it on the Thursday meeting a little bit. But some of your new strategy is like actually using social media to like help with launch it. Like, not that this is all stuff that we do, but you've got like a certain strategy now where it's like, all right, we're about to launch something. We're going to go hard for a month. We're actually going to try and build this thing up. Because 6 months ago you were at like what, 30,000, 35?
Yeah, 30. I can't remember. I definitely said it on my podcast to you, but I think it took 6 months for us to go from maybe 40K to 50K or something like that, and it took us 6 weeks to go from 50K to like 80K or 90K or something like that. Yeah. So, and all we did was like post every day, or I'm saying me. Like, it's not a fucking team. Like,
your team,
it's just me sitting my fucking on the toilet, like coming up with some shitty reel. So, like we is me. So yeah, it was just like consistently posting every day. Yeah. And I've fought against that for years now, where it's like, no, I'm doing really well doing it 3 times a week, this type of thing. And we were, and I said that in the business thing, it's like, if something is working, stop looking for 100 other things to do that might work, and just do a bit more of the thing that's working. Yeah. And that definitely worked.
Yeah. Because it's been crazy to see. I actually ended up messaging her. I'm like, what the fuck happened to your followers? Did you buy them? Like, I checked in 2 weeks prior, and then 2 weeks later, it was just absolutely gone berserk. So it's cool. It's cool to see. And it's also cool to see how you've, because like, just so people are aware, because not everybody would know who you are or whatever from our following has definitely like thinned out a little bit. We used to be a bit more just like health and fitness and all that sort of stuff, but we've definitely got more general listeners now. Some of the numbers that you've done with your products and stuff, like lower body basics, how many people have bought it?
About 10,000.
10,000 people.
But how many people have done it?
3.
No, like 100,000.
Yeah, because and you said this is right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think no one's completed it. Yeah.
physios buy it and then they just give it to their clients.
Well, like professional organizations where all of their athletes are earning millions of dollars a year, millions of dollars a year, have like used it in their preseason for all of their athletes. I'm like talking to strength and conditioning coach, and they're telling me this proudly, and I'm like, can I tell anyone about this? And like, nope. So like, there's been a lot of, and obviously when you sell like something like a PDF, it just gets shared around. So that's part of. You can't fucking do too much about it, but yeah. So that's like a lot of people have it, but a lot of people have also bought it, which is cool.
Yeah, and that's the biggest one.
That's the biggest one, yeah. We just launched a new one, a foot and Achilles rehab program, which is like our first more specific one. And I've been guarding like that kind of information for a while, even though like I post a ton of it on Instagram, but I've been guarding like putting up a specific rehab protocol, and not protocol, but like there's 4 phases to it and stuff. And I've been guarding like putting that up because that will be just taken out by physios and like used step by step. And I just accepted that, like, okay, we can make a lot of money from it and people can help a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, and it will get shared around and more attention will eventually come back anyway.
And at least a good chunk of them are going to, in some way, shape or form, point people back in your direction, I'd say.
Yeah, so now, like, I just think about now, like, exchange of value. So when I put something up, or when I sell a program, someone gives me money for the program, I don't need them to also go around saying David is the best in the world, or like I love you, blah blah blah. That's an ego thing that I've put aside now at this stage, and I just need them to hopefully have bought the thing, and then they can use it. And great, if they want to like credit me or whatever, they can. If they don't, they don't, because it just doesn't matter too much anymore.
Yeah,
you know,
as long as they don't steal.
Yeah. But like even that will happen, but you can let that yourself, you can just let that stuff drive you bananas and I just completely forget about it.
Yeah. Ultimately you can't, especially in the online format, you can't do much about it. Like,
There's going to be 5 to 10% of people who just like completely try and rip you off. And like, and I get that question all the time, and you'll have thought about this as well, where am I going to, I'm not going to put up a post because other people will take it. Or other people will see it. Or I'm not going to put out a program because other people. And it's like you're robbing the 80 or 90% of the people who really need this stuff, and you're going to help for the 10% who are just going to be cunts, and they will always be cunts. So what's the point in even thinking about them? So I think that attitude, like every trainer has that attitude, and they don't need to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Scarcity mindset. Not a good way to grow. No. Not at all. Yeah. So you've finished with Melbourne and you're off to Sydney today. This afternoon.
Today, yeah. So we've two workshops in Sydney. So I lived in Sydney before, so I think Sydney like is probably one of our biggest locations where we just know lots of people. So we have 40 coming to the first workshop, and then we put on another one because that one sold out so quick. So I think we've 24 or 5 or something there. Yeah. So that'll be good. I can't wait.
So about 100 across all 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. When did you live in Sydney?
We lived there about 4 years ago, I think. I don't know, my dates are always messed up, but we lived there for about 3.5 years. I used to train in Lift Performance Centre, and I was telling someone last night how fucking cool that was at the time.
That was one of the spots. It actually, I was baffled when it all fell apart.
I know.
I couldn't believe it. Like when you think about the people that were in there, Luke Tulloch, Will Berkman, Dubois, yourself, you were there, but obviously had already left.
I was just not even knew. I was just like training myself.
Yeah, I think Hattie Boydell used to train there. Like it was like a
Shona Virtue was there one day.
Yeah.
So I was just sitting there like just doing whatever, and like every day I was in there. One day it was just me, Quade Cooper, and Sonny Bill Williams. And like the two of them were like boxing each other and stuff. Like I was like getting a picture of it. It was like just fucking insane. Like, and I was there one day. Another day I was just training there. Eugene Teo was teaching a workshop there. Never heard of him before, and I was like, this guy looks good. And just getting exposed to all these people. Cato, obviously the owner, like he was a big name in the industry. I don't know what he's doing now, but like fucking what a place for me to just see all these different people, different styles of training. Jack. Darcy, is it? The sprinter, you know the sprinter guy who fell off his motorbike.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
broke all his
yeah,
legs.
yeah.
He was there. I remember like just kind of watching this young guy, and he was doing all his training. He wasn't a trainer there, but he was training there. And I remember like following day, I heard that he fell off a motorbike and like smashed his legs. So then he was back like doing his rehab in there. And I was watching that and stuff. So now he's back sprinting like with a lot of shit that happened. So many good people there.
2023 needs to be the year that you finally take control of your finances and planning for the future. Three Kings Wealth Management is an online financial advice service that helps you build for the future without sacrificing today. They have a number of ways in which you can work with them. I personally love their Instagram, so even just following them on Instagram will be huge and will help you understand finance better. They have a bunch of free resources through Instagram. However, they also have the opportunity to download a very cheap $49, but there's like 20 hours worth of financial content on there related to setting up foundational structures with personal finance and business finance, building out insurances and making sure that your future is supported, also looking at investment strategies and all of those sort of things. Moving forward from there, you also have the opportunity to jump on a free call with Ryan, one of the boy there's. He's an absolute king, the Three Kings, the growth goat. But Ryan will be able to help you and make sure that you are actually in the right stream related to their services. So check out Three Kings Wealth Management. Get control of your finances. Work and plan for the future without sacrificing today. I can't describe how freeing it is to have a good, sound plan for finance management, and Three Kings are there to help you. So check them out. They're down below in the description box. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, it was a hub. It was one of the spots in Australia where I would be like, that's fucking mad. Like, it's just a sick, even the way it looked, it was in those like two sort of like long, not tunnel buildings, but they were narrow, and just the fit out, the brick walls and the way they had sort of like designed it. Just a cool spot. It's a Anytime Fitness now.
Really?
Oh, really? Oh, that's so sad.
I think Alex Hayes was there as well. And John and Greta from City Strength, but Alex Hayes shared it. He was walking past it, and then and Anytime Fitness has taken it over. Just
that's very
those
sad.
bloody mongrels.
So do you think you can not you can do something like that necessarily? I'm not saying you want to, but have a spread of people who have a lot of different interests in training under one roof.
I reckon that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. You just need the space for it.
Yeah.
You need the space and the equipment.
Yeah.
Like they had ollie lifting, they had
Gymnastics,
they had fucking everything there.
bodybuilding,
Yeah.
they had a track, but it wasn't a huge space.
Yeah.
They just had it well laid out.
Yeah. No, it was a bloody cool spot. So what were you doing in Australia originally?
We just moved over. So I was playing a lot of Gaelic football in Ireland, and I got it like for about 8 years, I had the most nasty patellar tendinopathy. And I actually fell off a motorbike myself and bust my knee, and then that developed pretty bad. So I got to the stage, I was playing at like a decent level, and I was pretty obsessed with it. And I got to the stage where my knee was so fucked that I couldn't stop. I couldn't keep playing. But in Ireland, unless you have like a broken leg, you'll be fine. You'll be able to like keep playing. And it just got really nasty. And I look back now, and like I didn't go for a walk with Kira for 8 years, because if I went for a walk, like I wouldn't be able to train that night. It was my whole life was about that. Just what do I need to do with my knee right now to make sure that I can train later on? So no like hikes or no anything like that. And it got to the stage where I was just fucked, and I knew. But if I stay in Ireland, I have to keep playing, because I won't be able to not play. So I just moved to Sydney with Kira. She was on to me for years.
You left the country because your knee, you had a sore knee.
My knee was fucked. Yeah, my knee was fucked. And she wanted to go to Australia. She wanted to travel and stuff, and I wouldn't, because that was my life. And so I moved to Sydney, and I was just like working in construction, working for an Irish guy who had a company called Bondi Pipe Freezing. And we used to go around like working with plumbers. So a plumber, for some reason in Australia, the plumbing is fucked, right? So there's no stop valves to turn off the water. If you want to do some work on pipes in a house, a lot of the time you have to like, and I only knew this, I didn't know nothing about plumbing, but fun fact for you, like you can't really turn off the mains unless you dig up the road, right? Yeah. So what we had is liquid nitrogen, and you can go and let's say there's a pipe here, let's say like that mic is a pipe, and the plumber wants to cut here and send like put a little turn on the pipe and send it this way, or do whatever, change the valve. you can't fucking turn off the water supply. So we froze a part of the pipe. Right?
Oh, wow.
So you build a little styrofoam cup around the pipe, and you're in with a little box of liquid nitrogen, and the steam is like coming out of it, and you just keep pouring it into the little styrofoam cup, and it freezes a block of ice in the pipe, and then the plumber can cut the pipe and work on it.
Bondi pipe freeze.
Bondi pipe freeze. So that was like just a career thing that I didn't know was going to happen. But so like I was in lift performance center training, like sometimes in a Bondi pipe freezing t-shirt with my van packed outside full of liquid nitrogen, and we're just waiting for a call for the next job. And I was just sitting there like with Sonny Bill Williams like training. And then I get a phone call. It's like, okay, you need to go freeze a pipe fucking down the road. So
wow.
This is a weird thing. Yeah. So then, but while I was in Sydney, my team won like one of our biggest competition that we could win. And my dad was the manager of the team, and my brother was playing for the team. And that was the day I was like, I'm going home. I couldn't fucking... Yeah. And Kira's dad was a bit sick at the time, so I was like, it's too far away.
Yeah. So were you doing rehab in Sydney?
No.
Wow, this is news to me. So then what, you went home and then started DGR?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
In my brother's gymnastics gym. So my brother owns a gymnastics gym, so I was working up there, went down, started working in my dad's office then, or he just had a little spare room in his house. Then we took over the stables outside his house. That's where we are now.
I remember that.
Actually, there was 2 phases of that. I took over like one small part of his garage, half his garage, and then as we got bigger, we just knocked all the stables, like the interior walls, built our gym and our clinic in there. So now I have all of his stables and most of his garage as well. He's a room to like park a little lawnmower in. So it's good.
You're just taking over. Yeah,
So
swallowed
pre-Sydney, were you working in the industry?
No, but I spent like, because of my knee and I had Achilles issues as well, I spent like 5 or 6 years like obsessively trying to travel the courses and learn and stuff like that. Because I just got so sick of listening to physios saying your glutes aren't activated. So it's like my knee is fucked and this is not working. So
what were you doing for work prior to coming to Australia?
I was actually a rep for Glanbia Performance Nutrition, who own Optimum Nutrition.
Oh wow, there you go.
Yeah, and some other protein or supplement brands, performance nutrition brands.
Just slanging whey protein.
I was just driving around in a car, eating protein bars basically, and drinking. I was just farting all day.
That would have smelt real nice in there. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
So you've only done rehab since you moved back to Ireland.
Yeah.
Which is what, 4 years. And you've just taken over the industry.
5 years the other day.
You control the industry within 5 years. That's mad. That's fucking sick.
Yeah.
But
my 5 years or so of like just fucking being obsessed with learning, like unhealthy obsessed with learning everything about everything, that helped me then.
Of course. That gave you the foundation. So what was involved? Because I know, and I wouldn't mind discussing like PRI. It's going to go over a lot of people's head, but the idea, because PRI cops a bad rap, and I know you and I share a pretty similar sort of viewpoint of it, where it's like it's incredibly useful. It's not for everyone, and as long as you don't drink all the Kool-Aid, you'll probably be right. But what's your experience with going through PRI, learning that?
So PRI, like, they have a lot of courses. They have a lot of really smart people. It is. I wouldn't even call it a rehab model. It's like a lens of looking at movement, right? So people will typically think of PRI as just like the breathing stuff, and actually, it's not necessarily the worst description. But it's very much like neuro-based. They're always thinking about like how the brain senses different parts of your body and stuff like that. Asymmetries, learning how to get your left side and your right side to move more similarly to each other. And people give that a bad rap because they're like, oh, like, who cares if you have a bit of asymmetry? And actually, if you listen to PRI, they don't say asymmetry is a bad thing at all. They say it's a good thing. We need asymmetry to move through the world. It's what sets us off in motion. Even our digestive system, if you think about the asymmetry there, like the food is kind of moving in one direction as it enters and leaves our body. So like we need that asymmetry. So they kind of discuss that and help you learn about that. They talk about breathing, they talk about sense, they talk about gait. I just think there's a lot of valuable information there, and I think it gets a bad rap, but I also think it's two ends of the spectrum. Some people just go crazy with it.
Yeah, people try to paint everything with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think with a lot of like schools of thought like that, there'll be the root idea, which like I haven't done the course, so everything I've got is like trickle jam from like Jamie or whatever. But the course will be what it is, or the idea, the principles, and then someone will take it and then bastardize it, and then people will hate on the bastardized version, not realizing that it is a bastardized version and attacking the original course, but obviously not having the full understanding of what it actually is.
No, 100%. That's everything. That's everything. That'll happen to all of you. That'll happen to me. That'll happen to everyone. Yeah, and so we have to be careful. And I do try and send people to the source like as much as I can and say this is my take on it. But like this is what I think. This is what I'm left and have found is usable, which is not necessarily a ton, but that's just for me and how I like to work. Exactly. It doesn't mean if someone else is using tons of it, I'm saying that's all bullshit. It just means this is what I find helpful, the most helpful. And 100% I would encourage people who are really interested in that stuff to have a look. And the other kind of criticism is it's really confusing. And actually, or it's really complex. Actually, you have to understand and appreciate the body is really fucking complex. So some people want to like go headfirst into that complexity and learn about it. Others want it to be kept super simple. So you find the person that is right for you at the time for your learning, and you go and learn from them. But I don't love the people who are just criticizing it for complexity.
Yeah.
They're the ones trying, or one of the people, or some of the people are trying to understand it and help explain that. And it's not fucking easy.
Yeah. It's when did you first get exposed to it?
Probably in Sydney, some people were talking about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot, but some people were talking about it. And I had got exposed to tons of like breathing type of stuff before. So when I was in Sydney, I went to learn from a guy called Kit Lachlan, who was doing stretch therapy. I went deep down the stretching rabbit hole, came out, didn't love that, but like still learned some stuff. And I did like kind of Chinese martial arts, Taoist arts, and they were doing loads of breathing stuff, but like lots of nice movement and stuff like that. But it was all about relaxation and like moving fluidly, which is kind of starting to come back into the industry now again. Stop bracing for every single thing. And so I was exposed to lots of different kind of breathing, respiration, grounding principles. And then people started to talk about PRI, and I did a couple of courses, and I thought it was confusing as hell, but like I thought like they're definitely onto something here.
Yeah, there's some interesting things there for sure. Why didn't you like the stretching stuff?
So I was always
we need a hook here. We need a hook. We need David Gray. What are your thoughts on stretching?
I will just talk about it from like a rehab point of view, right? Or like a lot of times helping people get out of pain. So like it's just very reductionist, a lot of the people that are talking about stretching where like, oh, I have a knee issue, so you have to just your quad is too tight, and that's like a direct line between knee pain and quads being too tight. So I fell into that trap, and I was looking at like very flexible people, and I was thinking about like playing football, and I was like, if I could move my joints as much as they could, I won't be in pain. How could I be? Look how much range of motion they have. And I realized that's bullshit pretty much. But then again, the other side again of the coin is some people talk about like you don't need to stretch to get more flexible. But the most flexible people, apart from the people who are like genetically just insanely like contortionists, the most flexible people, they do stretch.
Absolutely.
100% they stretch. And they stretch a lot. And I've seen that like in the Ido Portal world, all that stuff. Like they do a lot of loaded stretching through full range of motion. They do passive stretching. They do just holds in different positions. So the most flexible people definitely stretch. So it does work to make you more flexible.
Yeah. Lucas Aaron, when we had Lucas Aaron, which is Rangers Strength, just towards the back end of last year, and he came in and he looked like a bodybuilder. Like his legs, he's got like big, thick like legs and stuff. And then he's just in these positions. And I asked him, I'm like, were you always flexible? He's like, no, I would have classified myself as more of a stiffer lifter. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I just started doing this stuff and actually trying to progress stretching, like with loaded movements and very, very smart positional changes and all of these sort of things. Mm-hmm. And now he's like this incredibly flexible human. And he's like, yeah, I've done it with thousands of people. Like I've got hundreds of people in my mentorship and in my membership site and all that sort of stuff. Like it definitely does work. And I think that's a classic everyone would just be like, yeah, stretching doesn't work. But it's like, well, hang on. Like,
It fucking works. 100% it works. But I think it works in specific way, like for specific things. Like most people can get better at doing the splits. I'm not saying everyone can do the splits. They can get better at doing certain positions. But I don't just look at like range of motion. Like I talk about the feet a lot. So people will just look at certain joints and say that person is really flexible. So I don't just look at the global movement of show me your front splits, show me your side splits, or show me your ankle dorsiflexion. We spoke a lot this weekend about that. So how far can you get your knee over your toe? You have 33 joints in your foot, so show me how you can move all those joints. So I try and place similar emphasis or weighting on all of the joints in your body. So again, a lot of yogis will stretch a lot, and if you look at their rib cage, it is like a brick. Because they do a lot of belly breathing as well, but their ribs don't move, their feet don't move. A lot of them have. The more you go down the yoga path, the more likely you are to have a humongous bunion on your foot, because and like, I don't have a study to support that, but like you do. So so like they can't move their midfoot, they can't move a lot of their joints, so they get excessive movement through one of the joints in their foot,
hip, shoulder, or whatever.
Exactly. They can't move a lot of their spine, so they get excessive movement through their hamstrings. So they will palm the floor in a toe touch, but show me how you actually move some of those ribs, show me how you move your thoracic spine, zero movement. So you can fall into the trap of looking at people and saying, and I did this, you are so flexible, because you can get into these big global positions. And if you want those positions, 100% stretching will do it for you. For like, there's genetics and certain structural limitations, but it will take you a long way. People aren't anywhere near their limit for most people. But I am more interested, if you don't necessarily just care about them end ranges, I'm more interested in the journey between positions. So like if you think about running, like the journey, it's not just a snapshot in time, show me your end position. It's all the different movements on the way to there. That's what I think makes a great mover if you're thinking about sports and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to just fall in the trap of, even with like global assessments, like the toe touch and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. Just like, oh, yeah, tick the box, they can do it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's like, well, what was the strategy that got them to that 100%. Final position? Yeah, which I think is another thing that Angus talks about. This is like for so long in the industry, the rib cage just sort of, it was like spine, scap, shoulder. It was like, well, hang on, there's this fucking massive thing in the middle that no one's paying attention to. And until I started, Eric Cressy was the one that was like, oh, we've got this thing and we can manipulate it and change where the pressure is. And then Bill Hartman obviously came through with his model on it. But until I started realizing, oh, this rib cage actually influences everything upstream and downstream, was huge for myself. Who else was in that intense period of learning that you said you went through?
There was Gary Ward, who has Anatomy in Motion. So he is like, to me, he is like the gate guy.
I think he's number one as well.
Yeah. He's brilliant. Now, I think we maybe spoke about this. It's important for people to recognize that he's talking about walking gait, because they try and take his gait model and apply it to sport. And there is application, 100%, don't get me wrong. And I've worked with some sprinters. I do something that like Gary taught me, and it helps their sprinting. So I'm not saying that, but if you're looking at just talking about the gait cycle, there is massive differences between sprinting, slower running, and walking. There's phase transitions that you go through. There has to be differences. So just because someone has a beautiful looking walking gait does not mean they're going to be sprinting very well.
Yep.
So he's brilliant. And then Dave O'Sullivan, he's another physio from Ireland. He's in the UK, and he's been top physio in like England Rugby League, England Rugby Union, his own private clinics and stuff as well. Very smart guy, really good business guy as well. And
what's his name?
Dave O'Sullivan.
Dave O'Sullivan.
Yeah, he's really smart, really good on like communication, buy-in with clients, and he's just taken like a lot of lessons from pro sport, which is like keeping the athlete will always ask you day one, when am I going to be back? When am I going to be back playing? I don't give a fuck about anything else. When am I going to be back? But in private clinic, the person will always be focused heavily on pain, and that, like, the more we focus on it, the more it kind of tends to come back to us. And he puts it instead, he's like, tell me what your goal is. And they'll say, some people who are in chronic pain, or anyone who's in chronic pain, they can't even see past that to say, I would love to be able to run. They can't even say those words. They'll say, I just want to be out of pain. So you have to get them past that and say, I need you to, what would you do if you weren't in pain? Oh, I'd run a 2K. So if you could do anything in the world, you'd run a 2K. No, I'd do a marathon, or I'd go and sprint, or whatever. So you have to get them to actually even just imagine their life without pain. And then we have to like draw out the phases of, okay, if you want to sprint, you need to be able to hop. If you want to hop, you need to be able to maybe squat. If you want to squat, you need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And now we have a whole treatment plan. And now they're imagining their life up here, but they also have step one. Today, we need to get this knee moving.
Yeah.
And so now we have a motivated client or athlete who's bought into the treatment plan, and we know what our step one is, we know what our step two is, we know we're not allowed to skip steps, and we know if you fucking move your knee today and you go for a run, you understand why it didn't feel so good, because you haven't done all these things in between. So Dave is like top class at that. Yeah. And that's a big lesson I learned from him.
Yeah, well, and this is a question from the Discord, but also something that I've always had, and I've battled with myself, especially as my understanding of, but just the journey of rehab to performance, and wherever as a coach you sit on that line, or a rehab professional. But there's all these lenses, and you've used the term lenses a few times, that we can look through. There's a biomechanical lens that obviously you hold of incredible importance. Mm-hmm. It's like foot mechanics and all of this sort of stuff, and where the direction we're moving, the speed we're moving, the position of the pelvis, and all of these things are going to influence what we're feeling and sensing, what we're loading, where the tension is, and all of those sort of things. But then there's also this complete other side of the coin, which we're dealing with a subjective human who, their beliefs, their emotions, the BPS model, all of this sort of stuff. Like, how do you, as someone who would fall in the biomechanic world, mostly?
No, I'm not.
From the outside looking in, when you view your social presence, it would be, he's a very biomechanical lensed professional.
Yeah.
How do you?
I just put
play in both worlds.
So the answer is to be better at everything, to be smarter, as for us as coaches or whatever we're doing. The answer, so a lot of the evidence-based practice people, even though like bio is part of that, they will shit on biomechanics, which I know bio isn't just biomechanics, but they will shit on biomechanics, which is part of it. But the answer isn't to be worse at biomechanics and be better at talking to our clients. The answer is to be better at both. And like, it's just a massive need for everyone to like make excuses for themselves that I don't need to be good at that because someone else said this is more important. But what if one client comes into you and actually their issue is something that's happening with their foot? You have no ability to actually change that now or work with that person. So I don't put my eggs in any basket. I try to be a good communicator with my clients. I try my best with that. I try to manage their load as best I can, whatever that means. I try to make them as strong as I physically possibly can. I try to help them understand the treatment process. I try to, if I have identified something biomechanically that I'd like to clean up, I try to work on that. I put my eggs in all these baskets, and it's not that hard to do all of them things together. It really doesn't. It doesn't take any more time. It's just being aware of these things. So I think it's so important that we try to just get better at everything.
Yeah.
Stop pinning one thing against the other, you know?
Yeah, because I don't know. It's just it's an interesting. Because I feel like it's so easy just to fall in one of the camps.
It's always just to hang your hat on, oh, nah, but, you know, I understand the BPS model, like, I know how to talk to people, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, that doesn't mean that you can just ignore everything else. That's not the point. The point is getting the person to where they need to be, using whatever it is. If you only need to use one part of it, that's great. But if you need to pull from other areas, do what you need to do to get them there, like, whatever the fuck it takes. Like,
but if you understand biomechanics, you're going to be better at making people stronger. Because as soon as someone like shows you a squat and you start to think that's not a squat, then you can choose a different exercise that looks more like a squat. Because you understand your biomechanics. If you look at someone squatting, let's say someone has patellar tendinopathy, right? And it doesn't have to be pain, but same principles apply. Someone has patellar tendinopathy, and we've decided we'd love to make your quad stronger. And they keep showing you a squat where they don't really bend their knees. So I want to make them stronger, but my limitation of my biomechanical knowledge to know that they are not flexing their knee, simple as that, is not going to stress the quads. Then how am I going to make their quads stronger? So my biomechanical knowledge, or everyone's biomechanical knowledge, might tell us actually a leg extension might make their quads stronger. This is biomechanics. It's physics. It might load and stress the quads more than a bicep curl would load and stress the quads. That is physics. That is biomechanics. And people are trying to shit on it because some people are really poor at explaining biomechanics and they don't understand that it is hand in hand with strength. They are the same thing. So we can think about improving and making someone stronger in a few ways. One is like making each individual tissue stronger. Two is helping the load share across the system better. So I like to do a bit of both.
And I think it's reductionist in a way to disregard biomechanics. If you're going to go, I'm looking at the whole picture, I think that's reductionist. Then also the ability to understand biomechanics and exercise selection and regress and progress someone. That's massive. It's from a psychological standpoint. If someone wants to get to end point, but you're disregarding steps 1 through 6, someone's going to stress the fuck out. When you give them that end point, it's like, you fucked yourself squatting. Let's just squat. It's like, I understand, and I do that.
Or let's never squat.
Yeah, or let's never squat. It's and I know again, B is biomechanics. It's not biomechanics. It's biology, whatever. But you're disregarding so much of that entire model when it's just psychology, and then there's one step in graded exposure. It's like, oh, you fucked yourself squatting, just squat. It's like,
you can't always just like reassure people and just tell them it's going to get better. Like, what if it just feels like shit? Like,
no, that's a big part. Like, the more I think of just that side, or people taking that side of the BPS model, it's just like
we're dealing with humans.
In my head, I just think, oh, you'll be right.
Literally,
that's the way I look at it. It's like, oh, you'll be right. And just pat someone on the back and go,
It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Just do this and you'll be right. It's like, I don't know. And you try to communicate that to a client, they're going to tell you to fuck yourself.
The thing I always think of, like, when there's like, oh, is it load management? Is it technique? The thing that always like gets to me is like, as much as, it's not one or the other, if you alter someone's technique, that in of itself is load management. Like, if you're shifting what is taking the load, you are managing load. So it's not that it's one or the other. They both work at the same time. Like,
you're doing it in a very acute, a very acute setting of load management. Yeah.
And if you don't have that knowledge, you can't. I think a big part of it as well is just getting someone to exercise when they are in pain. And like, if you don't have the ability to shift the context, and so they can't squat, but if you can get someone to flex and extend their knee in a different context, but you don't have that knowledge to shift the context and get them exercising,
you run out of tools.
You run out of tools, and there's only so much conversation you can have with someone when they're coming to you for exercise rehab. And like, I work in a gym space. It's like, oh, let's just sit down with me. Let's have a chat, son. Like, it's like, that's part of it. No shit, it's part of it. But they also want to fucking exercise.
We'll talk you out of pain.
Tell me about your childhood.
It's like,
But even with your cardio,
you'll be right. Slap them on the ass. See you later.
Even with your cardio with injuries, let's say, like, you want to, our injuries are pain. Someone has stopped exercise. This is what happens. Pain becomes all consuming. You start to think about, like, my life is over, my career as some kind of athletic person is over, and pain just becomes all consuming and quite depressing, actually. If anyone who has been in chronic pain, it depresses the fuck out of you, because all you can see is that thing. So they stop exercising, they stop going for a walk, they stop. So maybe I can get someone to go on the Versa climber, but not on a bike, because they can't go into that level of knee flexion on a bike or a rower. Or maybe I can get them to go on the skier, because I understand that's more of a hinge motion than a rower, which requires a lot more flexion from my ankles, my knees, my hips, and my spine. So we're not using biomechanics in that instance to. We're using it to keep someone's heart healthier and their lungs healthier, rather than just saying, well, I don't know anything about the joints and how they flex and extend and blah, 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 so you can't do any cardio. And that sounds simple, but that's fucking happening every day in physio clinics.
Yeah, you brought this up yesterday in, you were talking about if somebody has, it was like a lower limb, because it was mainly a lower limb workshop, but if somebody has a lower limb sort of ailment, knee pain, Achilles or whatever it is, all of a sudden you remove like all potential. You just take away all of their opportunities to be exposed to certain things, and you using it in the context of speed and power. Yeah. It's like, just because someone has an Achilles issue doesn't mean we can't train speed and power at the knee, at the hip, and all of these sort of things. And we have to use our understanding of progressions, regressions, and all of that sort of stuff to still expose them. But it will be the exact same conversation.
Exact same. So the example of that there is someone has an Achilles issue, and they're not, or an Achilles rupture, or just a tendinopathy, or an ankle or a calf or something like that. And actually we know that a pogo jump is going to be quite stressful for that area, and we want to protect it. But just because my Achilles isn't able for that at the moment, does that mean my knee can't be exposed to a little bit of speed, my hip, my spine, everywhere else? So I might not be able to do a pogo, which is more of a bias towards using the ankle a lot in a plyometric, but maybe I can do a squat jump, because I'm not stretching the Achilles in that way. So yes, the shin, I don't want to get too complex, but as I land in a squat jump or a lunge jump where I just lunge and I switch, so yes, the knee is traveling forward and the Achilles is going to be stretched, but it's not being stretched in a way that I'm looking for a real elastic response. It's a much more muscular movement. So I can do lunge jumps with someone. I'm not going to detrain their knee and their hip just because their Achilles can't handle it. Such a powerful lens to actually use biomechanics to make people stronger and stress them, not to regress them into, of course you can do that, but into the small movements because I can't do anything else because I'm trying to change our biomechanics. No, it's to keep people stressed. That's what we're trying to use it for.
Yeah, I think it's that conversation of focus on everything. Don't just focus on the things you can't do. And it'd be so easy just to fall in those, and I'm sure we've all been in positions where we have, just to fall into
camps.
Yeah, and just fall into those mindsets and holding people back. Ultimately, that's all you're doing. You're just holding people back, and they're regressing. They're falling behind the eight ball. It's an interesting topic and discussion. So moving forward, then, what's next for DGR? You've dominated the online space. You're the social media wizard, the Irish Wonderboy. What's next for DGR?
I don't know. I'm looking around at what you're doing. I'm like, fuck, my brand needs to be better. Or I don't know. How do you think about branding? I wanted to ask you that.
Branding.
I don't know. You don't have to just call it branding.
Yeah,
but
I regurgitate Kyle Trainer when I think about branding. And when I think about branding, I think ultimately brand is the long-term vessel for for success.
Nice.
It's the long-term play. I think that's when I think of brand is the long-term play. So it's the decisions and everything that we're making right now.
Yeah.
We won't feel for 2, 3, 5, 10 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're all right, so there's some apparel sitting over there. We're not going to turn the cameras, but there's some apparel over there. And yeah, it's starting here, and it's but it's the development of what we did last year that allows us to do that. And we're pretty confident all that's going to go. All that's, see you later, absolutely out the door straight away. But it's that was 12 months ago decision for when we, so it's brand is the long-term play. It's the long-term sort of direction. Mm-hmm. And I don't think brand, people will say, oh, it's the logo, it's the name, it's not. It's the discussion, it's who you are, it's what people identify you as.
I think it's intangible. It's its own thing.
Yeah. It's what people think of when they think of your name.
Yeah.
We spoke a little bit about a couple of people in the industry who have gained a lot of clout from shitting on a lot of people. That's the exact opposite. That's the short-term play. I get a lot of comments from that meme, and I don't mind memes, by the way, but I get a lot of comments on that meme, but now I am when I think of those people now, I just think of them shitting on other people. I'm going to attract a lot of dickheads that way. So that's I try and not fall into that trap, because you can get a lot of short-term clout that way.
So that's a short-term play. Yeah, it's a short-term play. And then long-term, people think about those sorts of people as fuckwits anyway. Yeah, 100%. It's not a play that you want to, for 5-10 years, it fizzles out after a little bit.
Yeah. There's only so much shitting you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Before your brand is
the shitters.
The shitters.
That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Or cucks, one of the two.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've thought about we have a small team. I have Kira with me, and then we have Alice and Chris, who are kind of more contractors are part-time. I don't want to describe them like that. They're really important to massively important to our team, but they kind of have their own little things going on
Chris,
as well.
Chris was getting some praise for his modules in the mentorship, in the
membership
side.
So Chris is brilliant. Alice is brilliant. So I'm they're so important to us. But I kind of think of myself in some ways as like a solopreneur. That's how I think about it. And I don't know if we're kind of at the stage where we could go two ways. We could like make this into a big company, a big, huge, I don't know, a big thing. Or it could be just like keep it small and keep it as us. And I think I want to keep it small. Small doesn't mean like I'd love to make fucking loads more money, but like small is I don't want to
lose the face.
I'm thinking about not even the face. I'd love to have someone else as the face, but I'd like to. I want to keep it as like a lifestyle brand, and I think for me, my lifestyle, and I think it's easy to fall into the trap of just thinking bigger, 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 and some people want that, and I think I don't want that. I'm not sure. I could change my mind, but I don't think I want that.
Yeah. So when you're saying like a lifestyle brand, I'm thinking it's more what you want from your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not to become all encompassing and
it's the business is for me a vehicle for me to live my ideal life.
Yeah.
And not that the business isn't like it's a massive passion thing and it's trying to help as many people as I can, but ultimately for a little while it was serving everyone else. And yeah, we were making money, but I wasn't that happy for a while. And now I'm really happy and I want my founder happiness to keep going like this. And I'm not going to sacrifice founder happiness for profit or revenue. Certainly not revenue. Yes. So I'm not going to, and I think you can get them both to go up, but if like profit went up and founder happiness went down, I know I've made a wrong decision.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm like making a lot of my decisions right now.
Yeah, so that's the lens that you're moving
100%,
forward with.
Yeah. 100%.
Do you feel that at some point, because I know the trajectory that you're on and all of those numbers, and you shared some of it in the business meeting and all of that sort of stuff. Do you see yourself at a point where you're just going to be like, I don't need to do this anymore?
Yeah, I've thought about kind of just stepping back and stuff like that. We're definitely not there yet. I just applied for a mortgage for a house the other day, and that's fucking. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, we need to release a few more programs. I had I did a business. I did a business event with a guy. Like he was teaching it before, just an online or something, and I really liked his lens, which was. He said his kids wanted to put a pool in their back garden. He was like, "Oh, that means I need to release a new course." Yeah. Like I kind of like that. So I really get motivation when there's like, okay, we just had to spend 30 grand on a deposit for a house or something like that. Yeah. Okay, I need to release a new program. Yeah. So that motivates me. So what was the question?
Well, yeah. Do you feel that at some point you might need to step back and for that founder direction, the founder happiness, and to move in that direction? I feel at some point, it's we don't need to push as hard. Yeah. We can actually step back a little bit, and
we've done that now already. Yeah, we've done that. It's like me. My thing in my life, I know that, and I know this sounds cheesy, but like if I just wake up early, I end up having a great day, and that means I need to get a few things done. I need to get a post done early enough for Instagram. And if I don't do that, it fucking nags at me all day. And I end up sitting on the couch. I'm like, oh shit, at 9 o'clock. And like, I should have posted. And then maybe I don't post. But and I don't kill myself if I don't post. But I know if I can get a post done early, I can get a walk in early. And I can get like 1 hour of uninterrupted work. That's like me winning the day. And then I might have a couple of clients or whatever. And if I could stay doing that type of thing, 3 or 4 hours work a day, that would be fucking amazing.
That'd be the life.
Yeah. So maybe I don't need to scale it up past that, or maybe I could bring it down. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
Just burn it all to the ground.
Or burn it to the ground, which is fucking every week. I'm like, that's what I mean though. Like, I'm like, I'm really happy with how it's going. And it's like, maybe I should just fucking quit this thing and whatever.
I heard there's a pipe freezing job going up in Bondi. You can jump straight back in. It will be a
simpler life. Like the tradies, like I've just been on site with tradies in Australia.
Tradies in Australia are getting paid bloody big bucks at the moment. Ever since COVID, it's probably not a bad lucrative founder.
Definitely not. Definitely not. It's better than sitting behind a desk working some fucking desk.
Nah. I think doing the shit that we do. I don't know. It's not even a job. What are you looking forward to the most in? Looking forward to the most in Sydney. Yeah, you going back? You said you were really happy.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back. I'm going to go for a swim in Bondi. We are tonight, actually. So my dad is there at the moment. My sister lives in Coogee in Sydney. My dad is visiting her at the moment. So he's there we made sure that he's only there for one more day. So he's been there for 3.5 weeks, and we made sure we were coming over here the day that he was going home. Because we're with him every day at home. So we're going for a pizza. We're going for a pizza with him tonight and my sister. And kind of we have like our old Irish neighbours that used to live next door to us live in Bondi Beach. They have a big family. So we're all going for a pizza there tonight. Like that'll be fucking insane. So I just can't wait to. You know what I love in Bondi is just walking out the door. And well, actually, back then was like walking out and no one knew me ever. So I could just walk and I knew no one would ever know me. It would still be that way, but someone might know me. So I might have to like actually not put on a t-shirt that's filthy dirty or something like that. But yeah, just going for a stroll and getting a buzz from a city or something or like an area, but not actually having anyone. You're not required to do anything.
Yeah. Do you think Bondi's too busy?
I lived there. I loved it when I lived there.
Yeah.
But I also lived in Bronte, which was way quieter.
Yeah, Bronte.
And that was nicer, I think.
Yeah. My auntie used to live in Bronte.
But when I'm going back, I want to be in Bondi. We're going to be there for 2 weeks. So yeah. So I also can't wait for the workshops. So we're going to be in a place called 4D Health in the city. They're bringing us over. They look like they have a really good spot there. So I can't wait to go. 40 coaches and therapists are going to be in at the workshop. That's a lot. Absolutely. It is a lot. And that's going to be a lot of, at the first workshop, there was 30 here over the weekend. There's going to be another 20, whatever, then the following weekend. So whatever that adds up to, that's a lot of coaches and therapists who are going to go on and see a lot of clients. And I really hope that we can like help each of them, even if it's one small thing that makes not just their clients, but makes them happier in their job. And I was speaking about this, I don't know, did I say this Thursday, but I definitely said it on my podcast at one stage. Someone was asking me about money. I want to normalize like coaches and therapists in the industry making really good money and feeling happy about it, not feeling shit about it. So you can help your clients and you can make good money and you can have a good life. You don't have to work 20 hours a day, this type of thing. So I'm trying to like normalize that a little bit.
Yeah. Did you do US seminars?
Yeah.
Yeah, as well. How many were over there?
How many people at the...
Or how many seminars and...
We did Florida, we did San Jose, and we did... which is in San Francisco, or beside San Francisco, and we did... Maybe we just did 2. But we went to New York and we went to Disneyland as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, more importantly.
Yeah. So we had a serious trip.
Yeah.
New York, California, Disneyland, and then the workshop in Florida.
Yeah, I heard you flew first class.
No, we flew business. No. So I was going to, but did Kira tell you that? Yeah. So, but she wouldn't let me post it on Instagram. No, I said it in one of my solo podcasts, and she cut it out. She was editing it. She's like, you can't have people thinking you flew whatever. And
she said it was first class. She said you walked on the plane and turned left.
We turned left. Yeah.
No one said. I've never ever even seen past that curve.
But it's poisoned her mind because she wanted to pay. She wanted to go business class or first class, coming over here. Yeah. I was like, that is all profit from the workshop's gone.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Sit in a fancier seat. So no, we got a really good deal because our flight got cancelled going to the States, and we were like sitting in the airport, and it was going to be 8 hours later in the day that we were flying, and she went up and asked, and it was only $600 each.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
Like, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, but now these ones were like $8,000 each or something.
Oh
like that.
Yeah, I think it's like $25,000 to get to Europe or something. Yeah.
So I think with money, right? If you look at like really rich people, they don't get to do that much better stuff than all of us. Like they're driving a car, it might be a Lamborghini, and we might drive a fucking Golf or something, right? But it's kind of the same on the road. It's a bit cooler, but it's kind of the same. I'm still going to get to my destination, and my seats are really comfortable in my Golf, and it's nice and warm and stuff. So they can go and eat, but like I can eat really good food in a lot of nice restaurants, and theirs isn't that much better. But if you could like fly first class or obviously if you could afford a private jet, which is another level, that is a different experience and is not the same. Because when you're cooped up, especially coming to Australia on a shitty little seat, it's the most disgusting thing ever. And when you see the people who are like lying in first class and they're like able to recline their chair all the way back and they're getting champagne as they come on and food, that is a different level.
So somewhere on that happiness growth, first class is up here. We're just going to climb towards that.
100% first class. Like, that's when you know. I think you can spend money on a lot of things that don't make you that much happier, but first class definitely does.
That's a non-negotiable. Yeah,
because I don't travel well. Like,
does anyone?
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah. So like, I would teach way more workshops, except it fucks me up going traveling around. Not the workshop. Like, I could teach for 4 days solid, and the adrenaline will be running through my body. I don't even need to eat, but then I will crash after that, and the flights just fuck me up.
Yeah. I remember Eugene Teo was talking about that. Was that because he did like world tours, like 20, 30 spots in a row, and just got like bouncing. He's like, and then you get to the end of it, and you're like, what the fuck was all of that?
Yeah. Because he's then traveling, like his circadian rhythms are completely fucked.
Yeah.
And I think flying is the single worst thing you could do for your body. If you get off a plane, your body is trashed. The air, the going up in the sky, we just weren't meant to do that. You know?
You're all like, you're all compressed, but then like, just fucking.
You're fucked. Your ankles are swollen. You're so fucked. But I did think about it when I was on the flight to Sydney. So it was the second from Dubai to Melbourne. Sorry, it was 14 hours. I was like, I'm flying in a metal fucking tin, 14 hours across the world. Like, how can you reconcile?
It's a bit crazy.
It's just this thing going across the sky for 14 hours.
Yeah. It's fucking, it's ridiculous. Before we finish this up, I want to know, what's your experience of New York?
I fucking love New York. The energy there. But you just said, like, is Bondi too busy? New York is too busy. But we spent 4 days there, and I want to go back already. Yeah. And that was only like 6 months ago. Yeah. Less. I love it.
I fucking love New York. I think New York's the number one.
What was the standout?
We went to see a show on Broadway. Actually, I fell asleep in the show. But like going into that and like just all getting, and we went to a steakhouse I think before it, and it was like a proper New York steakhouse. Just going for a walk, just walking around the city is nice. And then like in Times Square, it kind of hit me as well. Then like flying through in a metal box, like looking up in Times Square and seeing, let's say, Beyonce on a billboard up there. I was like, I just thought to myself, like, she is, people like that who are on them billboards are so, they're just in it. That's a different world. It's just, they are just so different. And that sounds obvious, but like, it just really struck me that was like, everyone in the world can look at that one person, but she can't walk in Times Square. Yeah. She can be up there, but she can't go for a walk down here. Yeah. That was just weird.
Did she get like 45 mil for an appearance
in
Dubai the other day?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
For one appearance, one concert.
It was like her first concert in 5 years or something. Yeah. And she just threw a figure out and they're like, yep. It's like,
was it a private one?
Yeah.
It was an opening of a hotel chain or something in Dubai. Yeah.
It wasn't like a tour. She just announced a tour or something like that. But that was like just a private appearance. Yeah. 45 mil. Jesus.
So you hear Justin Bieber sold his
200 million, I think,
discography or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the rights.
His back catalogue. And did Dre sell his as well before? Something like that?
Not sure.
I think he did.
Yeah, I feel like they all do eventually.
200 mil. Sold his whole catalogue. Beyonce 45 mil for an appearance.
That's 5 appearances.
Who's a bigger heavy? I'd say Beyonce.
Uzi. Yeah, for one appearance, yeah. Fuck. So yeah. What's your favourite thing about New York?
It's just walking around. Yeah. Like, obviously, I love, like, cultural history, like a lot of music and stuff, like, just, like, knowing that this is where, like, fucking Jay-Z, like, all that sort of shit, just, like, cool stuff. Things like that. Going to sporting events. Like, Australia, and this is, I think it kind of ruined Australian sport for me when I went over there and watched an NFL game.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a normal home and away game, NFL, and it was just like the whole stadium. It was, I felt like I was at a Quidditch match, like as stupid as that fucking sounds, but like the whole stadium is just like fucking
Rocking.
buzzing with like energy, and I was just like, holy shit.
The hype for a like high school football game there, the homecoming, it's fucks. Like they go nuts. It's like the biggest deal. And it's just like 17-year-olds.
Exactly. But then like we went to Alabama. This was Will Crozier, myself, and Jared Kay actually, and we went to a college football game. But it was Alabama. It was like a pretty big rivalry match. But the whole day was like just the whole town. Yeah, it was just there.
Yeah, they're like the most football mad.
Exactly. And it was just like there was like bands walking around, and like the pregame was like the whole like
tailgate.
The whole outside area, like for hundreds of meters, was just people just drinking and having barbecues and whatever. And then I ate 2 hot dogs too fast,
Standard J Smith,
and got massive indigestion and ruined the rest of my night. Like I just couldn't. I was just like, I actually had to force a vomit.
Sounds really American.
Yeah.
Sounds like you did it right.
I had to force a vomit.
Wash
out.
it down with a few more beers.
They know how to do like entertainment.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
without
they
a
do.
doubt.
Like you go to an All-Ireland final, like hurling or Gaelic football, Irish sports, and our stadium is amazing. Like Croke Park, it's the pinnacle, the holy ground. Like that's where there was like when there was like the troubles going on and the English versus Irish and all this stuff, like the English came in and like drove in a tank on the pitch and like shot 14 people in the stadium dead, and just like there's a lot of history there. And like, but then at halftime in like the biggest game of the year, some shitty fucking singer will come out who's like just sing like 3 terrible songs on a microphone. No one can see him. Like it's just terrible, like really poorly done.
Yeah.
But but like there's so much history to that place. My dad, it's funny, my Instagram account, as the followers grow, my dad talks about it in like when I had 40,000, he was like, you could fill half of Croke Park now. It's like now it's like you can fill Croke Park with your Instagram follower. That's how he compares the following. So it's just so that's a nice reference point for him.
Yeah.
We got Meatloaf at ours. Our biggest event.
Do you even know who Meatloaf is?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, yeah. Crazy. Yeah. He came to our
wasn't
it was
great.
AFL
Grand
final. Like the pinnacle of Australian sport.
Did we get?
He's a fucking legend though.
He
die recently?
He did, yeah. R.I.P. He did. But it wasn't his best moment. Yeah. That wasn't like in his day, fucking sick cunt, but not in 2017 or whenever it was.
Who else comes to AFL Grand? They're no heavies.
It's rare that they
It's
they
the
turn
biggest
heads.
Australian event. It's the biggest. We get bigger judges on like fucking X Factor.
Literally, yeah.
Like it's
They'll get like
it's 100,000 people. And a touchdown. Mark
If you
Holden.
watch some like older videos of Meatloaf on stage where he's like has the long hair, he's sweating buckets and he's doing Bad Out of Hell.
Yeah.
And it's fucking amazing. And he's just screaming into the mic and like fucking his hair back. It's like that's the.
So he was
pinnacle.
doing that, but like at this point he just like couldn't sing anymore. He couldn't sing.
Like, didn't we have Robbie Williams at the last one?
I think we have had him.
Robbie
Yeah.
Williams,
That's been-
yeah.
Bro, come on. They're not current.
Robbie
Look,
is
he's washed up
amazing.
though.
Come
He's
on,
washed
Robbie
up.
is
I'm sorry. This is the biggest event in
I know,
Australia,
yeah. Who
and
would
you're
you-
getting has-beens. It's
who-
like in fucking
would
Ja
you get?
Rule.
Who would you
Like,
get?
the guy, come on, man. Like,
Who'd
we
you
need
get?
Ja Rule.
Ja
Who'd you
Rule.
get?
He's playing our birthday party.
I don't know, a current massive artist. I'm not down
We'll
with the
get,
top 40
Kid
these
Laroi.
days, but I don't know, Dua Lipa or some shit.
Nah, Robbie is big. We went to Croke Park, me and Kira, to see Take That and Robbie Williams tour a few years back, and I was like, I've never fangirled over anyone ever, but we were down on the pitch and like I think if I saw if I saw Tiger Woods I fucking would, but like I would try and like compose myself, not be just
together.
in
You
his
couldn't hold it
face.
together.
So Robbie like did a few songs, his own songs, and we were down on the pitch and it was kind of a platform came out and he was about 10 meters from me and he was singing Let Me Entertain You or something like that, and I was like, Robbie! I was trying to touch his hand and stuff, like, so it was just I just lost it, and Kira like couldn't resist saying it to me afterwards. She was like, you fucking lost it when you saw Robbie. I was like, fuck off, no I didn't.
Just like shaky.
But like he was, so maybe I would just lose it if
Did
I
you
saw it.
did you rip the undies off and fucking fling the undies at him?
But they had to do so Take That at one stage had like they did Cheers, they all had like whiskey or something like that, and Robbie had a glass of milk.
Yeah, he's sober now. Yeah.
It's like one taste and he just is gone.
Yeah, see you later. Another 6 years down the drain. Yeah,
I swear I saw a video of him in COVID. It was during COVID time, and he was doing some things. He was
Some
definitely
things?
under
Yeah.
the influence.
Influence?
It was
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
A lot of people slipped over COVID,
Yeah.
including me. It's more like we're like, yeah, I was just drinking Baileys like 3 or 4 nights a week.
Baileys?
Yeah. It's like, turns out Baileys is very fattening. Tasty though.
We had a lot of wine nights for sure. A lot of wine nights. I think we're done. Any other questions, fellas?
And I'll do it.
That's it. Do you want to plug anything?
Nah, I'm good.
No, you're good. Yeah, lower body basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming. I know we do mean it. Thank you for choosing. Because you joke. Oh, I don't have 100 people reaching out. You would if you put it up. Oh, I want to go to this city. There would be people that are like, yeah. But thank you for coming here. We do appreciate it.
We do more cool stuff, and this place is fucking. I love what you're doing. I think it's fucking. I really do. I think even Anthony there, like just having him there yesterday, doing the video and stuff, like it's just, you're a cool group of people, and there's not enough. There is lots of cool people in the industry, but they need to be celebrated, and we need to like pull each other up and fucking just have fun and do good work. So you're doing great things. So thanks for having me.
Likewise. Thank
you,
you.
man.
I'm just checking in quickly to let you know that David Gray and myself recorded a business seminar on Thursday night before David's weekend here at Melbourne Strength Culture with his lower body workshop. The business seminar covered both of our business models and the ways in which we think about growth of our 2 businesses respectively. Both of those presentations are an hour long with a bunch of questions that we covered as well. That recording is now available for download. So that will be the first link in the description down below. If you're a therapist or a coach or work in our space or are interested in the way in which we operate our businesses, I think this would be a no-brainer to purchase. You'll learn a whole bunch of different things related to social media content, business structure, finance management, as well as just mindset and attitude towards business growth in both the online setting and also in person. So you can check that out in the first link down below.